Hello everyone and welcome to week 14 of the weekly news updates for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Everything you need to know about the game in bite-sized chunks every single Saturday. This week we got a beautiful species field guide, but Frontier also comes with some bad news. It's worse than I thought, and we'll get into it. Stay tuned for all the info from the past week, and if you enjoyed these videos, please leave a like and subscribe while you're down there. The channel recently broke through the 60k milestone, so now it's on to the next achievement, 69,000 subscribers. If you want to be part of the funny number and you just can't get enough of Jurassic World Evolution 2, you know what to do. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was showed off this week in her species field guide and she looks fantastic. I'm saying she because it is once more apparent how often this needs to be stressed to manage everyone's expectations. All dinosaurs are female, with the sole exception of the Indoraptor, if that makes it in. This tweet could theoretically just be referring to the Indoraptor in the first game, so I don't consider this tweet confirmation that the Indoraptor is in the sequel, but it does confirm that all dinosaurs, except the Indoraptor in whatever game it's in, are female. So no mating pairs and no sexual dimorphism. A lot of people thought that one T-Rex looked bigger than the other, but that's also not the case as confirmed by Frontier in this tweet. So please keep that in mind, otherwise you will get disappointed if you still think that there's going to be some sort of male-female pairing going on with possibly mating as a result. That being said, in my opinion, the T-Rex species field guide was anything but disappointing. Aside from showing off two gorgeous skins, which we will talk about more later, we also get a look at this fantastic play fighting animation. At least, people in the comments of my last video kept telling me it's play fighting. I still think maybe, possibly, it could also be like a mild dominance display, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Next we got a gorgeous shot calling back to the Lost World of two T-Rexes approaching the Ranger Jeep, which makes me wonder if they can work in pairs to attack the Jeeps and perhaps other dinosaurs. It could also very well just be a lucky capture, but it would be really cool to see some teamwork from the Rexes now that they can live in pairs. Because that was not the case in the base game of Jurassic World Evolution 1. Yes, after a couple of months you could buy the JWE2 DLC and fiddle with their social genes to make it possible, but in the base game, from the start, from launch, this was not the case. They were solitary animals. The fact that we can now have two of them together in the base game, no DLC required, is very good news. And Frontier does confirm that yes, we can keep them in pairs, it's not just for the sake of the species field guide. This tweet on the matter caught my eye though, which makes me think that it might be a little more complicated than just hatching two of them and having them cohabitate peacefully. In short, yes. So that implies that there's also a long version of this answer, and that begs the question, what is the long version? Are the JWE social genes coming back? Is this something we can manipulate? Or when we synthesize a clutch, we know some traits get manifested with a certain measure of unpredictability, and perhaps social behavior is one of them. So maybe you synthesize a clutch of 5, but only 2 of those clutch have a higher social threshold. That would be a very interesting approach, because then you'd have to pick and choose, like, okay, so these two, if I hatch them, they could live together. But if I pick this one, it has like a 30% less likely chance to attack the fences and kill my guest, which I'm told is also important. You know, that would be really cool if you have to make decisions like that. What is not cool, some very bad news about the skin system. Actually, before we get into that, I need to pull up the revealed species list so far because I forgot last week, and I'm sorry about that. The reason I forgot last week because nothing new had been added, and unfortunately, the same goes for this week. No additional species have been revealed, so we're still at this list. Right, but what about that bad news? You might have already seen it because it really blew up on all platforms, but the skin system does not work the way Frontier said it would work in the feature focus article on customization on July 1st. Watching the big YouTubers do their playthrough of the development build, we could already see that the UI for dinosaur skin customization seemed to be missing an option. From the feature focus article about dinosaur customization, we were led to believe we could pick the base skin color, the pattern, and the pattern color, so 3 separate options. But the UI of the development build only had 2 options. It looked like we could only pick the base skin color and the type of pattern. So I addressed that in a video, that it looked like we couldn't pick pattern color, and that the color of the pattern was probably intrinsically tied to the pattern itself. I theorized horizontal stripes for the coelophysis would always be yellow, but spots would always be red, vertical stripes would always be green, that sort of thing. That, however, is not the case. No, reality is often disappointing. We can change pattern color. It was wrong of me to assume we couldn't based off the developer build UI. We can change the color of the pattern. That's a good thing, and you might be really confused right now, like, what's the issue? We can pick pattern color, so everything's good, right? Well, no. No, because while we can pick pattern color, we only get 1 pattern per dinosaur. Yep, 1 pattern per dinosaur. We can see Jens Erik, the community manager, state this on Reddit in no uncertain terms, which I do appreciate. I do appreciate the clarity here, and they've been making the rounds on social media setting this straight. You can change your dinosaurs and reptiles' skin color and pattern color from several different color options. You won't be able to change the pattern itself, but having no pattern is an option you can choose. What this means is, for the coelophysis, the pattern is always going to be that horizontal stripe. For Margosaurus, well, basically the same. It's always going to be a horizontal stripe. The T-Rex only has this stripe pattern, as does the Triceratops and the Velociraptor. Dinosaur skin customization works like this. We can pick a base color, and then we can have either no pattern, or the 1 pattern for that species of dinosaur, for which we can change the colors. First things first, this still gives us many more options than Jurassic World Evolution 1. It is still an improvement over the first game. That cannot be diminished. I do, however, think that it will look quite artificial for the dinosaurs to all have the same pronounced pattern, with just a palette swap. Let's say we get 12 body colors and 7 pattern colors. Going off the Game Informer info, but instead of 7 different patterns, as we were led to believe, it's 7 different pattern colors. That's 84 pattern options on top of 12 no pattern options. 96 in total. It's great that we get 84 pattern variations by mixing and matching, but I think that if you do try to mix a lot within a herd or a pack, you're really going to notice the repetitiveness of that. Mostly though, it's just disappointing in how much it falls short of what we were initially told. If you know me, you know just how excited I was about that skin system. In hindsight, was it too good to be true? Yeah, probably, but it is what we were told we could do. Either it is a scrapped option, or there was a communication mishap between the game developers and the community managers, or maybe this is what they meant to say all along and they just really fumbled the wording of it. Whatever the case, whatever the reason, we were given information that is incorrect. An honest mistake was made here, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone makes mistakes. My frustration mostly comes from how I feel Frontier dropped the ball in their communication of this, with how they tried to fly this under the radar. You see, when Acte brought this to my attention, shout out to them by the way, thank you so much for letting me know, as well as everyone else who reached out to me on the Discord. I really appreciate you guys helping out with these videos and keeping your eyes peeled. But when Acte brought this to my attention, my first reaction was, I've made a huge mistake. Like, red-faced, heart palpitations. I've made a huge mistake. And I didn't understand how I could have made such a blunder when I read that feature focus article and thought, okay, cool, we can pick base color, pattern, and pattern color. So I went back to that forum article and sure enough, it says, you will be able to change the base color of the dinosaur as well as the coloration of the dinosaur's pattern. It doesn't say anything anywhere about different patterns. Imagine more red-faced, more heart palpitations. I thought, yikes! How did I make such a big mistake? And the only thing that helped a little bit was realizing that at least I wasn't the only one who made that mistake. Everyone had. And then that had me thinking, how is that possible? That's when I noticed that the forum article has been edited over a month after publication. I didn't have a screenshot of the original, but Bestinslot did include a screenshot of the original forum article in his video at the time, and this is what it said originally. You will be able to select from several different patterns per dinosaur species, and this will determine what markings they have. Once you've set the pattern, you can change the color of the pattern and the base color of the dinosaur. This is why we thought we could pick base color, multiple patterns, and pattern colors, because it literally said so. It's a big oof that they got our hopes up with what is now incorrect information. In my day job, the job that pays the bills, I am responsible for all official communication from the company I work for. Email campaigns, editorials, the website, the magazine, the catalogs, the whole 9 yards. And let me tell you, communication is difficult. You might think it's easy, but it's actually a lot more challenging than it seems to communicate clearly to every single person. And when it's on such a big scale, mistakes are made all the time in spite of everyone's best efforts. However, there's a right way and a wrong way to deal with mistakes once they come to light. At the very latest, Frontier knew on August 2nd, when the article was last edited, that the information in that article was either outdated or misleading based on internal miscommunication. Instead of bringing this to everyone's attention, they just quietly edited the forum article and that was it. Right away, there should have been a tweet, a new forum post, or a comment during one of the live streams to set the record straight. Because no one is going to go back to an old forum article that everyone has already read to check if the information has since been changed. They should have done more in communicating the correct information, kind of just like what they're doing now, how they're spreading the information. It's clearly very effective because we're all aware of it now. However, where they're still falling short is that they're still not acknowledging that the mistake is on their end. They're kind of still pretending that we all collectively misunderstood that feature focus by not addressing that it has been edited after the fact. Right now, it's just about dinosaur skins. I don't think anybody would or wouldn't buy the game based on dinosaur skins. I don't think this is a deal breaker for anyone. But what if pack hunting had been cut and they just didn't mention it? Or what if marine and flying reptiles work on a looped animation after all, and they snuck that into an old forum article? I think then the community would have been a lot less divided than it is now, with some people who don't care about skins easily dismissing all of this. At the end of the day, Frontier is responsible for providing correct information to the best of their abilities, based on which hundreds of thousands of people do decide whether or not they will spend their hard-earned money on Frontier's product. And it's not up to me or you or them to decide what is or isn't a deal breaker for someone else. The way they handled this has caused distrust with some people, and I can see why. Not everyone feels that way, and if you don't, good for you, that's great. But selling a product is all about taking away doubt and distrust with everyone, answering questions instead of causing more questions. When it comes to spending money, a lot of consumers are skittish. People protect their own wallet and are right to do so, so I can't blame people for being put off by this. The thing is, I personally think the solution is really simple, which is why I'm surprised they haven't used that simple solution yet, which is just to come out and say, oops, we made a mistake here. We're sorry about that. We can't promise we won't make a mistake again, but if we do, we will do more in keeping you up to date and correcting that information. They don't need to explain why the mistake was made in the first place. They don't need to explain why they've stayed quiet about it this time around. Just put people at ease by letting them know you're aware of what went wrong and you strive not to let that happen again. And I do have hope that they will handle corrections better in the future, seeing how this blew up. In the meantime, myself and my network of spies are keeping an eye out. By the way, if you want to join that network of spies or just hang out with 2,000 wonderfully weird people, you can join the Discord for the Evolution Square YouTube channel. The link is in the description box, and you can message me if you find something interesting about Jurassic World Evolution 2, or yeah, like I said, just hang out with a lot of wonderfully weird people. For now, let's just look to the future and the exciting things we still have ahead of us. Speaking of, Frontier tweeted this: "There is more coming next week." So that is something to look forward to. I'm really curious to know what is being teased here, like what are they going to be revealing next week? If you have any theories, feel free to share them in a comment down below, and let's get this hype train back on track because that's way more fun. I want to thank you all for joining me for this episode of the weekly news updates. It was a little bit different than the usual weekly news updates. It's usually a lot more chill and just straight to the facts, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, and if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on these corrections on very important information, then hit the subscribe. I do these videos every Saturday, and in the meantime there is more content for Jurassic World Evolution, both the original and the sequel. And let me know in a comment, what do you think about the skin system as we currently know it will function? Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the anticipation.